For over a decade, Syria has been at the heart of one of the world's most brutal conflicts, a tale of power, resilience, and devastation. And now, as reports emerge that President Bashar al-Assad may have fled Damascus, is this the moment that reshapes Syria's history? To understand today's developments, we need to go back to the beginning. In the early 2000s, Syria appeared stable. Bashar al-Assad had inherited power from his father, Hafez al-Assad, in 2000. For many, there was hope that Assad, with his Western education, might usher in reforms. The streets of Damascus and Aleppo bustled with life, and the country enjoyed relative calm. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Corruption plagued every level of society. Economic stagnation, rising unemployment, and political repression sowed discontent among the people. This discontent exploded in 2011, during the Arab Spring. Across the Middle East, citizens rose up against authoritarian regimes, demanding freedom and reform. Syria was no exception. Protests began in the southern city of Daraa, sparked by the arrest and torture of teenagers who had painted anti-government graffiti. These protests spread rapidly, drawing tens of thousands to the streets. The response from Assad's regime was swift and brutal. Protesters were met with gunfire, arrests, and violence. What started as peaceful demonstrations quickly spiraled into armed conflict. Rebel groups formed, vowing to overthrow the regime. By 2012, Syria was engulfed in civil war. The Free Syrian Army emerged as a key opposition force, and major cities like Homs became battlegrounds. The conflict, however, wasn't straightforward. Extremist groups like ISIS seized the chaos to carve out their own territories, adding yet another layer of devastation. Syria also became a playground for global powers. Assad relied heavily on support from Russia and Iran, who provided military and financial aid to bolster his regime. Meanwhile, the rebels received backing from Western nations and Gulf states. The war devolved into a proxy conflict, with no end in sight. Entire cities were reduced to rubble. Aleppo, once Syria's cultural and economic hub, became a symbol of the war's destruction. Despite the odds, Assad clung to power. In 2015, Russia's direct military intervention turned the tide of the war. Russian airstrikes devastated rebel positions, allowing Assad's forces to reclaim key territories, including Aleppo. For many, it seemed the regime had secured its survival. But victory came at a cost. Over 500,000 lives were lost. Millions of Syrians fled as refugees, and the nation's economy lay in ruins. Fast forward to 2024, and Syria remains a shadow of its former self. The war has left deep scars, and Assad's government struggles to maintain control. Economic sanctions, corruption, and widespread poverty have fueled growing discontent. In recent months, reports of protests and strikes in regime-held areas have surfaced, signaling that Assad's grip on power is weakening. Then, in late November, something unprecedented happened. Rebel forces, thought to have been fragmented and weakened, launched a massive coordinated offensive. Key cities like Homs, Daraa, and even Damascus were targeted. Within days, rebels claimed victory in several areas, including Homs, a city symbolic of early resistance. By December 8th, videos emerged of Damascus residents celebrating in the streets, declaring the capital liberated. Rebel factions announced that Assad had fled the city. But is Assad truly gone? If Assad has indeed fled, Syria faces an uncertain future. Rebel factions must now navigate the delicate task of forming a unified government. The risk of infighting looms large, and regional powers like Iran, Russia, and Turkey are likely to intervene to safeguard their interests. For millions of displaced Syrians, this moment raises profound questions. Will they return to a free homeland? Or will Syria plunge into another cycle of violence? The fall of Assad, if confirmed, marks the end of an era, but not the end of Syria's struggle. The road ahead is fraught with challenges, and the stakes couldn't be higher. What do you think lies ahead for this war-torn nation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this unfolding story.